Good day, UNA. I'm your host, Dewan Garner,
And I'm Mark Perkins.
and we are here to bring you the latest news and events happening around the campus and nationwide. Gas prices in Alabama might be cheaper than they are in other parts of the U.S., but the effects of the recent record setting surge in fuel costs can still be felt by many drivers across the Gulf Coast. This can make everyday commuting to work or school a major stress for a lot of Alabamian families. The Gulf of Mexico produces about 14.6% of the country's crude oil, and Alabama's proximity to those offshore sites and coastal oil refinery translate to a gas discount for it, as well as Louisiana and Mississippi. This week, gas was about a quarter cheaper in those states compared to the national average at $4 a gallon. And while nearly $4 is still high for some, at least it's not as bad as prices at $6 a gallon in most major U.S. cities. When Governor Kay Ivey was asked about the surge of gas prices, she replied, "The problem at hand is the Biden policies. Under his policies, inflation has skyrocketed to almost a 40-year high."
This past weekend, the Miss Alabama organization celebrated their 100th birthday right here in Florence, Alabama. The event was labeled as Muscle Shoals Music. You're Welcome was marketed as a concert 100 years in the making. This concert featured several different acts, such as the Sweet Tea Trio, singer-songwriter Denise Davis, Allison McCreary Gingleback, Deidre Eastland Pennington, and Tiara Pennington. All of the acts involved either have roots in the Muscle Shoals area or have recorded their songs here. Denise, Tiara, and Allison are all former Miss Alabamas themselves. The show opened with Deborah blowing the crowd away by singing hits recorded at Fame Recording Studios. Yingleback followed and managed to keep the audience blown away by continuing to sing hits recorded in Fame and received a standing ovation once she wrapped up her set. Sweet Tea Trio were next and performed some of their own songs mixed in with some oldies, including a yodeling number by trio member and runner-up of the 2020 Miss Alabama competition, Charity Bowden. Denise Davis followed them with performances of her own songs, including an emotional song written after 9/11 about not being afraid anymore. Tiara Pennington then closed the show with a couple songs, including a rendition of Adele's Easy on Me. The show concluded with all of the performers, along with several pageant winners from around Alabama, singing one last song. While this was not a typical event you may catch with the Miss Alabama title, this was certainly one for the ages.
Chaos emerges from a child's toy that is causing children to be arrested. You may be familiar with the toy Orbeez. The company Orbeez manufactures small water beads that contain synthetic polymers that expand with water, similar to those that are in diapers. Third-party distributors have created something called an Orbeez gun, which is able to use the small water beads as ammunition for the guns. The creators of Orbeez do not make or sell the gel blaster guns that are often used with them. Such guns are dubbed Orbeez guns by their users online. What started off as a TikTok challenge has turned into a nightmare for parents and police all over the country. The hashtag Orbeez challenge started by encouraging kids to shoot strangers and each other. Teenagers are targeting people in drive-bys, shooting them with small water beads. Some teenagers are even freezing the Orbeez pellets to have more of a painful impact. While some may argue this is just teenagers with too much time on their hands, it has developed into a big issue, especially for larger cities. Parents are encouraged to warn their children about the danger of the Orbeez challenge, as those who are shooting strangers are being arrested for battery and aggravated assault. Local teens are forming Orbeez gangs that involve allowing the whole group to shoot you with Orbeez in order to be initiated into the gang. Once initiated, the groups use social media to form meetups to play games with other gangs. Local police worry about how social media can accelerate the amount and sizes of Orbeez gangs. Police are encouraging parents to talk to their children about the potential harm that can come from these Orbeez guns.
This month, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to sign into law Bill 1557. The Parental Rights in Education bill has sparked controversy over the nation. The bill containing a ban on children being taught sexual orientation and gender identity in schools. Many have used the term "Don't Say Gay" bill to express their distaste for the contents. What is most frightening regarding the bill is the vague language used. Meaning many schools could use the bill to eliminate the teaching of LGBTQ plus issues and identities in school entirely. Line 97 through 100 have been used as an example. The bill states, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Many students are participating in massive on-campus protests, including walkouts. More than 500 students at Winter Park High School left campus in protest of the bill March 7th. Discrimination and further stigmatization of LGBTQ plus students are cited as main reasons for the walkout. Many advertisers and brands have weighed in on the topic, Words like distasteful and deeply disturbing, even President Biden calls the bill hateful. Students have called for DeSantis to not sign the bill. In response, DeSantis has called for a town hall meeting on the topic. Intentions are to let citizens express concerns for the bill. Updates will be coming soon.
This month is Women's History Month. This year's theme for the month is Women Providing Healing, Promoting Hope. This year, the Smithsonian Institute is hosting talks and presentations regarding women's history and rights. These events are designed to help build a thoughtful and supportive community of advocates for women's rights. On March 30th, a presentation will be given regarding the amazing judicial work of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her fight for equal rights. This event will also honor Ginsburg with the Great American Medal. The medal will be accepted by her daughter, Professor Jane C. Ginsburg, and son, James Ginsburg. Given the theme of providing healing, here are a few organizations that are accepting donations towards helping women. The Futures Without Violence Foundation has been an advocate for ending violence against women. This organization helps shelter, employ, and provide further resources to allow women to leave dangerous environments. Also, the One Heart Worldwide organization is also accepting donations to help decrease maternal and neonatal fatalities across the globe.
Florence man arrested after hour-long standoff. During the late-night hours of March 16th, Florence police officers said they arrested a man after he forced a young boy into his car and then started a standoff. Demarius Hamilton was taken into custody after the Florence Police Department received a domestic violence call from a woman who reported Hamilton had stolen a vehicle and left the scene. It was later discovered that Hamilton had not stolen the car, but had punched the woman multiple times and had taken her young son. Hamilton was found at the Florence Quality Inn, but officers say he ran into the woods behind Academy Sports and they could not reach him due to the thick bush. After an hour-long standoff and Hamilton threatening suicide, he finally turned himself in. Hamilton is facing charges of interference with custody, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and domestic violence assault. His bail is currently being held on an $8,000 bond.
Alpha Tau Omega has been very busy with fundraising these past 2 weeks. On the week of March 7th through the 11th, they did a fundraiser called Save, Shave, or Die. Brothers had their hair on the line for a very stressful week. The following week, they had their fundraiser called Eggerator on March 17th, where brothers volunteered to get eggs thrown at them from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Both of these fundraisers together helped raise around $3,000 to $4,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Shoals. Here are some of the brothers on their experience with the two fundraisers.
Campus. We just recently had our fundraiser known as Eggerator. It is a fundraiser that we do every semester for our philanthropy, Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Shoals. It is one of our most popular fundraisers that we do, not only for our philanthropy, but on campus. Everybody loves it. How it works is brothers volunteer to be in the tent on campus, and we buy eggs for people to purchase and chunk at a brother. So they can choose the brother, they can buy as many eggs as they want until we run out. And typically every single semester we raise between $700 and $900. It's so big that even our president of the university.
Hey, I'm Eric Griggs. I took part in Eggerator this last Thursday, and it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. I got hit with a lot of eggs. A couple of them hurt and started bleeding from them. But probably the best one was when I got hit in the stomach by an egg from President Kipps. It'll be a memory I think of fondly for the next 20, 30 years. I'll never forget it. I think I peaked. I don't think anything will ever get better than that. But it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. And I'm so glad we raised so much money.
Another very popular fundraiser that we do for our philanthropy is Save, Shave, or Die. So we have been doing this for a very long time. Brothers volunteer their head. So basically how it works is we set up in the GUC on campus, and we also take donations through Venmo or other cash apps. And so you have 3 buckets of Save, Shave, or Die for each brother that has volunteered. Money goes into each pot, and at the end of the week, whichever one has the most has to either save their head, shave their head, or dye their hair. It is a huge fun. Brothers get in on it because they want to just destroy somebody else's hair. But this past time that we've done it, we raised over $2,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Shoals, and we're very excited to do it again in the future.
I also took part in our fundraiser, Save, Shave, or Die, and as you can see, my hair's not down, but I have very long hair, very long blonde hair, and I love my hair. I think very highly of it, and the fact that I had a possibility to shave it wasn't a very good thing, but I wasn't stressed for most of it until the last day. All the other days I had a lot of fun. I was putting people's names down on a list that donated to shave, and they asked what was going to happen, and I wouldn't tell them. I said, "You'll find out." And then, but the last day, actually, just the last hour or two, money just started flowing in. Brothers started donating to shave. Brothers started donating to, people started donating to shave, and it just more and more money came flowing in for shave. And I was freaking out. I had a bit of a panic attack, thinking that my head was gonna get shaved. So I donated $200, just to make sure. But luckily, as you can see, my head still has hair on it.
So far this year. Right out of the gate in round one, the number 2 seed Kentucky fell to number 15th seed St. Peter's 79-85. Defending champs Baylor dominated in the first round against Norfolk State, winning 85-49. They shot for an astonishing 57% from the field and dominated the glass with 38 rebounds, while Norfolk State only shot for 31% and had 29 rebounds and 15 turnovers. In round two, Kentucky was not the only upset that had happened in the tournament, with the number 10 seed Miami upsetting the number 2 seed Auburn 79-61. Many had speculated Auburn to win it all this year, but Miami had other plans, shooting 48.5% from the field and Auburn shooting only 30% along with having 13 total turnovers in the game. Baylor also came up short in their game against North Carolina, losing 93-86. Coming up in the Sweet 16, look out for Duke taking on Texas Tech, Kansas playing Providence, and Michigan taking on Villanova. These 3 games will be the ones to keep your eyes on. If your March Madness bracket isn't already busted, it might just be after the Sweet 16 games conclude on the 24th and the 25th.
Since January of 2021, 41 states have introduced bills or taken other steps that would restrict the teaching of critical race theory or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism. Republican state lawmakers are continuing their crusade against critical race theory into the 2022 legislative session. In some states, this new state of proposed legislation expands the boundaries of prohibited speech for educators and gives parents more oversight when it comes to what their children are learning in school. 15 states have imposed these bans and restrictions either through legislation or other avenues. Recently, Alabama has become the latest state to take a step toward educational repression, introducing bills that attempt to regulate how teachers can discuss racism, sexism, and issues of systematic inequality in the classroom. House Bill 312, filled by Representative Ed Oliver, takes aim at divisive concepts regarding race, sex, and religion in public workplaces and schools. It also prohibits higher education institutions from promoting or advancing those concepts and allowing instructors to be fired if caught doing so. The bill passed 65-32 Thursday with overwhelming support from the Republican Party. This bill joins 3 other similar ones that also seek to censor critical race theory, although they do not explicitly use the term, but instead use language similar to describe those divisive concepts. These bills, which were filed in the summer and are awaiting a hearing in the House Education Policy Committee, have been denounced by higher education faculty who claim that they pose an existential threat to academic freedom.
Here in the Shoals area, the city of Florence is host to a multitude of popular restaurants. However, it is the local joints that keep the customers coming back for more. Trowbridge's, one of Florence's longest-standing restaurants, has stood here on North Court Street for 104 years. This local favorite is known for a variety of its ice creams, sundaes, and other sweet treats. They also serve a wide range of other classic American foods that remind you of home, like hot dogs and sandwiches. Trowbridge's has served generations of North Alabamians and passed through generations of owners. Fourth-generation owner, 85-year-old Dan Trowbridge, runs the restaurant with his daughter, Pam. The two have built up a loyal following of customers with frequent visits from regulars. One of the things that has kept the attention of customers is their fast service, not to be confused with fast food. This restaurant is a part of Florence's history and will continue to be for years to come. Trowbridge's is open from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Mondays through Saturdays and closed on Sundays. So if you're in the Shoals area, be sure to stop by this local staple for a taste of history.
With Major League Baseball experiencing a labor strike from the players, the offseason has been fairly quiet. The lockout began on December 2nd after the players' union and the owners could not agree on a new collective bargaining agreement. During a lockout, players are not paid and are also not allowed to communicate with the owners or managers of their teams. Players who ended the 2021 season as a free agent were forced to be patient and wait to make decisions on their future. However, on March 10th, the MLB Players Association and the owners were able to come to an agreement. This put an end to the lockout, making it a 99-day work stoppage, which was the second longest lockout in MLB history. It has now been 2 weeks since the agreement, and some of the biggest names in baseball have moved teams and signed new contracts. Longtime Atlanta Brave first baseman Freddie Freeman decided to sign a contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Chris Bryant ended last season as a San Francisco Giant, but accepted a new contract offer from the Colorado Rockies, and Trevor Story moved from Colorado to the Boston Red Sox. The MLB has initiated its spring training season, which will end in the next few weeks. The regular season is set to start on March 31st.
LeBron James continues to mark off historical accolades late in his career. The 37-year-old veteran is currently playing in his 19th season in the National Basketball Association. This past Saturday night, the Los Angeles Lakers were playing a game against the Washington Wizards. James entered the game with 36,888 points, which was good enough to rank him third all-time in most points scored for the NBA. However, he just needed 21 points to pass Karl Malone, who was second on that list. With 5 minutes to go in the first half, LeBron James split the defense and propelled himself to the number 2 spot. James ended the night with 38 points. He now needs to score around 1,500 more points to become the all-time leader and pass up the current champion, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Although he may not surpass Abdul-Jabbar this season, James has given no signs of retirement and plans to come back next year to try and become number 1.
This week marks the beginning of Ketanji Brown Jackson's Senate confirmation hearing to officially take the Supreme Court seat of retiring Justice Stephen Breyer, who is planning to leave his seat on the court this summer. Monday marked day 1 of the hearings, which according to Senator Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois, is, in a way, the easiest day. The first day of confirmation hearings consist of opening statements from the Senate Judiciary Committee as well as Jackson herself. Jackson's nomination to the Supreme Court is one of historic nature, being the first black woman to be nominated for a seat on the country's highest court. Senator Cory Booker, the Democrat from New Jersey, said Jackson's nomination breaks an artificially confining mold of our past and opens up a more promising, potential-filled future for us all as Americans. Republican Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee both expressed concerns over Jackson's lenient sentencing of those with child pornography charges. Democrats pushed back on these and other assertions that Jackson is soft on crime by calling on critics to look at Judge Jackson's record. Dark money was also a focus of the day's hearing, with senators from both parties bringing its role in the confirmation process to light. There were concerns by some Republicans over the liberal group Demand Justice, who is said to have suggested potential nominees for Justice Breyer's seat after he announced his retirement. Democrats said they were hopeful to have Judge Jackson confirmed by Easter.
Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing continued on Tuesday, where Republican Senator Josh Hawley again attempted to distort Jackson's record on child pornography sentencing. Jackson herself pushed back on these claims, saying sentencing is a discretionary act of a judge, but it's not a numbers game. When prompted by Senator Booker, Jackson spoke of her family, saying that her grandparents were the hardest working people I've ever known. She also reflected on the balance of motherhood and her career, saying, "It's a lot of early mornings and late nights, and what that means is there will be hearings during your daughter's recitals. There will be emergencies on birthdays that you have to handle." Judge Jackson also answered a lingering question on Republicans' minds about whether the 9-seat Supreme Court should be expanded, as some liberal groups have called for. She said that her stance on expansion of the court matches that of the Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and that judges should not be speaking on political issues or nominees for the Supreme Court. Republican Senator Ted Cruz attempted to link Jackson to critical race theory, to which Jackson said, "It doesn't come up in my work as a judge." She also defended her record as a public defender for Guantanamo Bay detainees, saying, "We're entitled to be treated fairly. That's what makes our system the best in the world. That's what makes us exemplary." Overall, Judge Jackson has followed the playbook of past nominees and playing to the partisan nature of the Senate Judiciary Committee in order to secure their nomination to the Supreme Court.
Spring break is right around the corner, UNA. Let's take a look at the weekly weather report. There seems to be some conflicting weather for our spring break next week. The week will start off in mid to upper 70s. Sadly, there seems to be a few storms rolling in the Shoals area in the middle of that week. Once these storms hit, temperatures will drop to around mid to lower 60s. If you're planning that last-minute beach trip, I suggest leaving a bit early for some good sun. If you're staying here in the Shoals, maybe packing an umbrella would be a good idea for your spring break festivities.
That's all for today's report. I'm Mark Perkins, signing off for Good Day UNA.